नमस्कार शिक्षार्थियों, आज के सेशन में आप सभी का स्वागत है। आज हम बात करेंगे सीनियर सेकेंडरी लेवल पे साइकोलॉजी की। चैप्टर का हमारा नाम है इन्वॉल्वमेंट ऑफ पेरेंट्स एंड कम्युनिटी इन अ प्ले सेंटर। सो वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ हाउ अ कम्युनिटी एंड पेरेंट्स कैन give or participate in the play center. So first we are going to discuss the objectives of today's session. First, understanding the play center home relations need. So why do we need to establish the play center and home relations in the first place? Then we'll be talking about the different methods of parental involvement in the play center. So how can parents contribute in the play center functioning? Next, we are going to talk about the contributions of community in a play center, how a community can contribute in the play center. Next, different services available for play center. So how we can establish a play center and how we can get funding, all that will be discussed in the fourth objective. So let's begin with it. So first, the development of children should be a cooperative endeavor, a two-way process between parents and teachers. So we are trying to establish here that the development of a child is not just a one-way process. It is an interaction between the caregiver, the teacher and parents both. So it is a two-way process. Then the parents and the teacher need to see the child as a whole in order to provide appropriate guidance. So the child needs to be understood as a whole human being rather than just seeing the child as a child, viewing the child as a human being. So what are the different aspects involved in the development of a child should be taken care of, and the parent and the teacher both need to see it as a future citizen of our country, and in that sense we provide appropriate guidance and the path of development to the child. Play center and home relations. Parents are the first socializing agents for the child, and family has a significant role in the personality development of children. So here what we are trying to say is that parents are the first socializing unit. If you have studied Bronfen-Benner in earlier chapters of our syllabus, so there is this theory by Bronfen-Benner which is called the ecological theory of development. So I'll explain it with a diagram. So Bronfen-Benner has given a model which is something like this. So these are concentric circles. So Bronfen-Benner talks about how development is divided in certain areas, such as the first one is micro environment, microsystem, and the second is mesosystem, and the third one is macrosystem. So there are certain other aspects as well which are in the fourth concentric circle. So the first and the initial circle involves the microsystem, which involves family and parents, caregiver, the play center where the child is going. All that comes under the microsystem. So the child is in the middle of this whole diagram. So all these circles are rotating around the child, and all the different aspects such as parents, family, caregiver, play center or schools, other educational institution per se, are all in the microsystem. When we move toward the mesosystem, then we are talking about the work environment of parents and say the facilities available to the child such as a park or say other transportation services, all will come under the mesosystem. And then macro system will involve laws, institutions, all those form the macro system, and they somehow are actually influencing the development of the child, and this is the theory of ecological theory by Bronfen-Benner. So in this way we can see why it is written here that family is the first socializing agent for the child. Next, the play center and home need to work efficiently and cooperatively with people with proper understanding of each other. So here it has been said that the play center and home need to work efficiently in a cooperative manner so that the child can be provided with appropriate guidance and appropriate path of development. And for this, they need to establish an understanding between each other. Next, we are going to talk about, just a moment. So now we are going to talk about the play center home relations. How do they help us? Why it is being said that play center and home needs to establish a relationship? Why? So we are going to talk about that now. So the first point says a better understanding between parents and teachers, assuming what children are like. So if the parents and teachers are cooperative and they are constantly in touch with each other, they can have a better assumption regarding what the child is and what are the likes and dislikes of the child. How is the development going on in terms of the child's physical, mental, social development. Then a better understanding with regard to what a play center is. So here, when the teacher and the parents are interacting, they can always understand what is a play center, because who is going to tell the parents that what is a play center and why it is important? That can be, say, told by the teacher to the parents, teacher or caregiver. So here we will be using the term teacher and caregiver exchangeably. But in terms of play center, caregiver is always better. So let's say we will use caregiver more often. Opportunities for parents to meet other parents and learn from their experiences. So in a play center, when there is a constant interaction between the play center and the teachers or the caregivers, all the parents will be coming on and off to the play center and they will be able to interact with each other. And if there are any abnormalities, or say if there is any, say, superiority in their child, superiority in the sense that if the child is showing more or so development in a certain area, that can also be discussed and seen if it is normal or it is abnormal. So that is how this relationship between play center and home can also be helpful to the parents. Next, understanding of emerging techniques in child rearing and child training. So in a play center, when the parents are there and if there is an interaction organized, or say let's say there are interactions organized in the play center, the caregiver can actually tell the parents what are the new and advanced methods of child rearing and what are certain better strategies to rear a child, so that the growth of the child is, say, good. Or say there is no lack in the sense that mental health किसी की hamper नहीं हो रही है, किसी की physical health hamper नहीं हो रही है, तो उस तरीके से क्या क्या better techniques हम apply कर सकते हैं in parenting, that can be taught by the caregiver or can be told by the caregiver to the parents. If these goals are achieved, the children will have a nourishing, rich and full life in the play center and at home, because there is a, so let's understand it with a diagram. So if this is play center, okay, so this is the play center and this is, say, parents. These are parents and this is the child. So if play center is also interacting with the child, parents are also interacting with the child, and the child is the mediator here, and these both are not interacting with each other, then there will be certain dynamics which will be hampered, because play center is telling something to the child, whereas the cultural background of the child might not be allowing it. So the parents might be saying something else. So if there is a, say, यहाँ पे एक communication gap है between the play center and parents, तो उसकी वजह से बच्चे की जो डेवलपमेंट है वो अफेक्ट हो सकती है. So that's why there is a need of communication. So that's why there is a need of communication between the play center and parents, so that the development of the child is not hampered in any sense. So that was about this. Let's move forward. Next, In order to make the play center and home relations effective, what can a teacher do? Now we can discuss this part. We have discussed how the home and play center relations affect the development of child. Now we are going to discuss about how these relationships can be made more effective. Understanding the needs, feelings and expectations of each parent. So, if we say that a caregiver has to understand the needs of each and every parent, and say there are 20 students in a class, 20 children in a classroom. Now what happens is, अब हर 20 बच्चे के parent को समझना थोड़ा मुश्किल है. So that is why it is always said that the PTR, the pupil teacher ratio in a play center should be 1:10, where 10 is pupil and 1 is the caregiver. So the PTR should be maintained between 10:1, so that even the caregiver does not face any problem in maintaining the contact with the parents, and then they can understand the need of each and every parent and child as well. The caregiver will focus their attention on what the parents want to know. So here what we are trying to say is that now that the caregiver know what the parents' needs are, specific needs are, so they can focus on the different needs per se, and they can give their attention to whatever has been told, or say whatever the child requires in terms of their growth and development. Next, cater to the needs of the parents regarding their children and achieve good cooperation from them. So here what we need to focus is that whatever we are trying to do here is in the sense where the development of the child, a positive development of the child, is our main concern, is our main focus. So if there is, say, a negative development aspect that is being given by the parent, for example, if a parent come to the play center and they say that they want their child to not learn coloring per se, कि हमें अपने बच्चे को coloring नहीं सिखानी है. But then coloring is a very important aspect of a child's life, because through that their fine motor, their gross motor development is seen. So if a parent is demanding something like that, that is ethically wrong. So the teacher always, the caregiver always need to make sure that whatever demands are being kept forward by the parent, that needs to be in a sense where the child is being impacted in a positive manner rather than in a negative manner. So the caregiver always need to be in a mode to monitor what kinds of demands are being put forward or what kinds of needs are being put forward to them. Next, respect the parents for what they are. So here, so the caregiver should not show any kind of discrimination based on, say, caste, creed, race, color. So there should be no discrimination, and each parent should be treated equally, and the needs of their children should be treated equally. Next, be comfortable, free and friendly with the parents. So the caregiver needs to be comfortable. If there is any kind of, say, conflict, that needs to be sorted out so that the child is at priority rather than the caregivers. Say if there is any conflict between the parent and the caregiver, so that can influence how the child is being treated in the classroom. So if there is any kind of conflict, and if the caregiver feels that this can influence the child's development, or say the treatment the child is getting in the class, that needs to be sorted out so that there is no negative impact on the child. Be willing to learn from parents. So if parents are providing any kind of suggestion to the caregiver, they need to be open towards it and see how feasible is the idea, and if it can be applied or not in the play center, and how feasible it is. And if it is feasible, then why not? So be willing to learn from parents, convey the fact that the teacher is interested in the welfare of the child, and seek cooperation of the parents to do his or her duty more efficiently. So the teacher needs to show the parents that they are interested in the development of their child and they want to give their best so as to make sure that the child is getting best facilities and best environment for their growth. And they need to tell them that they require the parents' cooperation for this to happen in the first place. Avoid being defensive and thus putting the parents at ease. So the the caregiver needs to be at ease with themselves at first and not being defensive while interacting with the parents, even if they find that certain ideas are, say, prude or say are not welcoming enough, then they can tell the parent, but this should not be kept as a grudge, and they should make sure that whatever suggestions are coming, if they are applicable enough or feasible enough, they should be applied. In case they are not, then they can express it to the parent, and why they are not feasible can also be explained. So this will give them in the sense that they will not be defensive while interacting with the parents, and the relationship between the caregiver and the parent will that of ease and comfort. Next, next, show willingness to accept parents' suggestion. So they need to show that if they are giving any suggestions, the caregiver is open to the suggestions. Be a good listener and encourage the parents to communicate. They need to show that they are interested in the ideas and they are listening to their ideas, and encourage more suggestions. So that is how we are going to intake more and more suggestions, ideas, and more support by the parent and the community. If in the first place we are showing that we are not interested in your ideas and just we need your financial support, then that is not welcomed by anybody. So we need to tell them that their ideas, suggestion, any kind of support is welcomed in the functioning of the play center. Avoid discussing about the child with the parents in child's presence. So this is a very important aspect. Every teacher, caregiver needs to make sure that when we are, whenever parent-teacher meetings are organized and say whenever they are interacting with the parent of the child should not be pointed out that इसकी ये चीज़ बुरी है, ये चीज़ अच्छी है. That should not be done. ठीक है, good feedback can be given in front of the child, or you can directly give it to the child. The feedback can be given to the child, but avoid doing that in front of parent and child both. If you want to say something about the child, you can interact with the parent in another setting. Another setting as in where the child is not present, say for example in another classroom, maybe in the staff room. So that can be done. Avoid drawing hasty conclusion and remarks. Per se parents के terms में, child के terms में, sometimes what happens is if a child was wearing a little dirty uniform and the caregiver made a remark that okay, this child belongs to a very, say, not a good family. Now making such hasty conclusion from just one, say from एक गंदे ड्रेस से आपने बस इतना एक बड़ा आपने एक assumption बना लिया, so that might affect your relationship with the child in the future. So we need to make sure that such remarks or conclusions are not made and should consider what is actually happening with the child. So that should be of our main concern, main focus. Be positive and less critical of the children. Be impartial and not compare the child with other children. So there should be no comparison, and you should not be very critical of the child, obviously, because the child in a play center is of say 3 to 6 years of age. अब अगर 3 से 6 साल के बच्चे के लिए भी हम इतना क्रिटिकल हो जाएंगे और हम उसको क्रिटिकल रिमार्क्स देंगे तो हम उसकी आगे तक की डेवलपमेंट को इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे हैं. So we need to be open toward the child and give them a more welcoming and pleasing environment. Avoid bossing and dominating the children. So we should give them free space where they can explore and do whatever activities they are given freely, rather than telling them that okay, you cannot do this, you will have to do only this. So this might increase negativism in the child. So negativism is basically, negativism is a defense mechanism given by Freud, psychodynamics में. So negativism says that if you tell the child to not do something, So there is a tendency in the child that they will do it more. So for example, if there is a fire and you tell the child that, okay, don't touch the fire, otherwise you will get a burn. So there is a high tendency in the child, now that you have said no to it, the child might do it. So that is negativism, जिसे हम stubbornness के terms में भी देख सकते हैं, but then negativism is a little different. Because you have said no, the child has the tendency to do it more. So what you can do is, you can tell the child in another manner that, you know, if you touch fire, there is a high probability that you might get a burn. There is a high probability nahi, balki there is going to be a burn on your hand, or say there is going to be damage or injury to you. So telling them outrightly rather than telling them that, okay, don't do this because, जबकि इसका उल्टा करके कि because this will happen, so you should not do this. So that way the negativism can be decreased. Next, aim towards creating positive relationship with parents. So here what the caregiver can do is, they can make a aim in their mind that in the play center, what their main concern is to establish positive and growing, say growing in the sense that positive relationship with the parents, positive in the sense that where suggestions are welcomed and they are actually, say, the support given by parents is also accepted in every manner. So that is how a positive relationship with parents can be maintained. So just a moment. So how can we assure the parent involvement? Parental involvement we are going to discuss next. It is a process of actualizing the participation of parents, of helping parents discover their strengths, potentialities and talents of using them beneficially and of using them beneficially. So here there are three parts in this definition. Parental involvement basically means actualizing the participation of parents, helping parents discover their strengths, potentialities, talents and using them beneficially. Using them as in parents जो strengths और potentials उन्होंने identify किए हैं उनको use करना beneficially. That. So if all the four aspects are taken care of, then it enables reduction of financial burden on play center budgets by supplementing paid personnel. Now if the parent is so the parent has understood what is the importance of play center, because they were able to understand what you are trying to say convey to them. Now that they have understood that, they are more or so going to help their child in, say, providing the different facilities that the child require in a play center. For example, toys, different books, activity equipments and all that. So in that sense, the financial burden on the play center can be lessened. Next, teachers to conduct more meaningful and individualized play activities through parental help. Now that the parents are involved in the activities of the play center and they know how the play center functions, if the caregiver is giving any kind of activity to the child that is to be done at home, the parents will be supportive enough in conducting that activity with the child and making sure that the child completely does the activity, and whatever the goal is that is to be achieved through the activity is achieved. Next, parents to learn and become better equipped to accomplish their role effectively. So here the parents will learn and they will be equipped enough to achieve their role effectively, their role as a parent. So they will be able to achieve that effectively. Next, what are the methods of parental involvement? So till now we have discussed what are the benefits of parental involvement. Now we are going to talk about what are the different methods of parental involvement. So first is informal talk. The teacher meets the parents when they come to leave the children in play center or fetch them back. Through informal talks with parents, mutual relationship is established. So as it has already been mentioned that it is informal talk. So what happens is, जब पेरेंट अपने बच्चे को सुबह को प्ले सेंटर पे ड्रॉप करने आ रहे हैं या इवनिंग में लेके जा रहे हैं और वो उस टाइम पे जो भी केयर गिवर से इंटरेक्शन करते हैं, दैट इज इनफॉर्मल टॉक. नेक्स्ट इज पेरेंट्स मीटिंग, PTA. Regular parents meetings become a means of learning for parents, both informally and formally, to know the play center's goals, activities and evaluation. So this is basically parent teacher meetings that usually happen in schools, play center, where there is also assessment involved. So this is more or so a formal method of interaction between the parent and the caregiver. Next we will discuss social functions after the break. Thank you.
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो, कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो, मित्रों हम उठे और जागे, मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर, शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर, शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बहुत, कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, स्वयं बने, हम
Welcome back after the break. So we were discussing about the different methods of parental involvement in a play center. So we had discussed informal talk, parents meeting. Now we are going to discuss social functions. Accompanying for picnic or field trip with the children provides an opportunity for parents to get to know teachers and perhaps form friendship network and support. So organizing picnics or field trips or different functions where the parent gets an opportunity to interact with the teachers and the parents, and side by side interacting with other peer group of their child. So that can be very positive for the parent and the child both, because now they understand the dynamics of the child's peer group and the play center where they are spending a lot of time. So this was the third method. Next, home visits. The teacher makes an appointment with the parents and informs them that she would visit them at home. The teacher observes the home setup and tries to help the child suitably. So here what we are trying to say is that the teacher can go a little extra mile and organize an appointment, or say make an appointment with the parents that she or he will be visiting the child's vicinity or where the child is spending most of their times in terms of when they are at home, and what are the facilities that the child is provided at home, and if there is a park or where do they go for playing with other children. So all that can be observed by the teacher, and if they feel that there is a lack and it can be the lack can be catered by the play center in some manner, then the teacher or caregiver can make sure that that does happen and the child's needs are fulfilled. Next, parent education. Parents may meet together and gain knowledge and skills through educational classes conducted once a month or once in 2 months at the play center. So the frequency is just mentioned here. It can be twice a month as well. It depends if the schedule of the parents is allowing 2 classes or 3 classes a month, or say if it is allowing two classes in 2 months. So that is upon the time availability in the parent schedule. But this can be done where the caregiver can teach certain better strategies of parenting that can be used by the parents for the better growth of the child. Individual discussions. Some parents may not like to talk about the problems of their children in a meeting, but may feel free to express their difficulties individually to the caregiver or teacher alone. So there are certain circumstances where parents don't like to say about the problems that their child is facing, or if there is any issue that they are facing with their child publicly or in a meeting setup. They would prefer telling it to the caregiver in a more personal setup where there is a one-on-one interaction happening. So these are called individual discussions. Next, so this is basically a crux of how parental contributions are important. Sensitivity to the uniqueness of individual parents and their needs are essential to promote parental contributions. We have established that by now that parental contribution in the functioning of play center is actually very important, and when parents are involved in making decisions, they feel responsible and will have greater commitment to the play center. So when you give the opportunity to an individual where they have this sense of responsibility, they will feel more committed towards the facilitation or say growth of that institution or that goal. So that is what we are trying to say here, that the sensitivity to the uniqueness of individual parents and their needs are essential to promote parental contributions, and when parents are involved in making decisions, they feel responsible and will have greater commitment to the play center goals. So now we are going to talk about the other pillars of community involvement. So this was about parental involvement. Now we are going to talk about community involvement, how community plays an important role in the functioning of a play center. So the community includes all the members in the families, in the immediate neighborhood, community workers and personnel working in various institutions. The caregiver should ask herself or himself a few questions and discuss them with the families in the community. So what happens is, here we have mentioned that the members of family, immediate neighborhood, community workers and personnel working in various institutions, all are part of the community. So they all are coming under the microsystem of the child because they are in the immediate environment of the child, and their behavior and actions may directly or indirectly influence the functioning of the play center or the growth of the child. So that is why it becomes important that all of them are involved in the functioning of the play center so that a positive development can be made sure. So the caregiver can ask a few questions regarding how the community can help in the better functioning of the play center. So there are certain questions that has been listed in this presentation. So the first question is, are the children in the community healthy and well nourished? What are the problems faced by them? The nourishment part is really important. Ki if the child is getting proper meals, proper nutrition, which will make sure that a very good physical development is happening. If there is a lack of nourishment, if there is a lack of nutrition in the child's meal, then how can we expect that the child will have the mental capabilities or say physical capabilities to do any kind of activity or task? And if there are any problems, what are these and how can they be say sorted out? How can they be solved? What are the food habits of the families? Because children from different families will be coming to the play center. So the caregiver can make sure, can actually list out what is the culture of the child and what kind of food habits are being followed in the family. Next, what are the preferences, the parents' preferences? Do the mothers breastfeed their children? Do they discard the colostrum? So colostrum is basically a certain, say, colostrum is in the breast milk और बहुत ही important होता है initial development के लिए of the child. And when do they introduce semi solid foods? कि कब बच्चे को solid foods खिलाना शुरू किया गया? And do they eat green leafy vegetables and yellow fruits and give these to their children? So parents are giving certain, say, food to the child, and do the parents permit them to play? कि जो parents हैं क्या वो अपने बच्चे को खेलने के लिए जाने देते हैं? What kind of play facilities do the children have? Do they get their children immunized? बच्चे को सारी vaccinations लग रही हैं, क्या उसकी जो भी immunity के लिए जो vaccines हैं वो proper time पे हो रही हैं या नहीं हो रही हैं, और अगर नहीं हो रही हैं तो क्यों नहीं हो रही हैं? How do the families use preschool facilities? Is there a primary school in the community? So play center and primary schools are different. So if there is a primary school, there are certain policies that the government run through the primary schools. So if there is a primary school in the vicinity, the facilities by the government can be accessed by the parents. How about the environmental sanitation in the community? So what kind of hygiene or say what kind of cleanliness is being maintained in the community? What is the source of drinking water in the community? Is it safe? Does it lead to diarrhea and other diseases? Are there any common diseases or epidemic in the area? What measures are taken to control them? So for example, now that we are in the times of pandemic, so there are certain measures that are being taken, such as putting on a mask, using hand sanitizer, washing our hands properly. So what are certain measures if in case there is an epidemic happening? Is there any developmental program going on in the community? Who is the community leader and which are the associations functioning in the play center? Now we'll be discussing about the roles of different members of the community. So other community members can help by maintaining the play center clean and safe, developing a garden at the play center, ensuring safe drinking water supply for the play center, cooking and serving nutritious food, gathering mothers and others for meetings and education classes, involvement in the play center through teaching songs, games, stories and dramatization, etc. Organizing festivals at the play center. So if there are different, say for example Diwali, Eid, all these festivals need to be organized so that each and every child know what are the different festivals and how they are celebrated. So to provide a secular perception to the child. eliciting communities' help in equipping the play center adequately. So here the focus is on eliciting community help. Overall community needs to help in the functioning of the play center. For example, fencing the play area. That cannot be done by the play center alone. They need to have permission from the different authorities of that area, and nearby, if there are any other nearby houses or buildings, they need to tell them that okay, we will be fencing our area, so is that all right? So for that, community needs to help the play center. Assisting the teacher in any of her activities, help in maintaining play equipment of the center. So different equipments need to be maintained in the play center so that a long life is maintained. Next, supply of food materials like grains and pulses, these may be produced at the time of harvesting. So harvesting, इन्होंने जब बोला है कि at the time of harvesting, it is more or so in an agrarian concept. India is more or so an agrarian country. तो अगर हम देखें तो ये ज़्यादातर हमें villages के terms में लगता है कि village में जब harvest होगा, but there are certain say parts of the suburban cities where say agriculture is happening, and those harvest of say different kind of vegetables, seasonal vegetables, fruits can be used or can be given to the play center, which can be used for the children. Local fruits and vegetables, especially green leafy and yellow vegetables, because yellow vegetables will be say have more vitamin C, and green leafy vegetables will be rich in iron and other nutrients. Equipment for play center like old tires, wooden beams, etc. So these can be used for swings, for other toy materials. Waste material from household, from artisans. Cash donations can also be given by the community. And next, role of Mahila Mandalis in running a play center. So there are different Mahila Mandalis in local communities or in societies, and how can they contribute? They play a vital role by enthusiasing parents to support play center, motivating them to enroll their children, collecting aids and play materials for the play center, holding meetings regularly, creating awareness in the community regarding the importance of a play center for young children, promoting community participation for the successful running of a play center. So that was about it for today's session. So if you have any queries, you can call us on our toll-free number, that is 1800 180 2543. Thank you.